Today, I'm your host, Sergeant Marvin Thompson, and today I have no guest with me, but we will partner as we go along in this edition of Policing with You, and we are in the capable hands of GQ as well. So, what I'm going to be dealing with today is a continuation of election-related subject matter. Specifically, this morning, I want to continue along the lines of the election offences. I might focus a bit more on the election day offences, but nonetheless, we're looking at the election offences. Given that this is the season and election is fast approaching, the date has been given. The persons are mobilized. The country is passionately supporting their particular candidates and parties, and it is important that while we do so responsibly. So this morning, what I want to share with us is some of the offenses that pertain to the election that we are in the midst of doing, and the election day that is fast approaching. But before I start and go any further, I'm going to ask GQ to play the national anthem. I'm doing this for a specific purpose before I give any further opening remarks. So, GQ.
Oh, land of beauty, our country where peace abounds, as thy children stand free on the strength of will and love, with God in all our struggles, Saint Kitts and Nevis be.
Thank you, GQ. What I want us to take away from the national anthem, our national anthem, a significant symbol of who we are as a people. And it is necessary that in this election season that we remember that. I want to pull a couple of words from that national anthem, specifically where it speaks to a country where peace abounds. Now, persons refer to police officers as peace officers, but peace in the nation is not the job of the police only. Peace is the job of every citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that is why this show, Policing with You, is so timely, because it's not a matter of us policing you, but policing with you. And I want to emphasize that at this particular time while we are going through this election season, that it's not about, it should not be about the police policing you, but we should be mindful that we should be policing with each other. It talks about a country we serve and honor. Let's remember to serve and honor. As police officers, we're called to serve. And that is the job, that is the heart of the job, that we're called to serve the public. The public is called to serve itself. We're called to serve each other. And in times of national events, That is something that we must remember. And when we're dealing with this election, it is important that we serve each other and remember that we serve and honor the country by the way we behave ourselves, or we dishonor by the way we fail to behave ourselves. It is important that we remember that. And I want to say that before I get into the offenses, because what the offenses speak to on election day is a matter of how we behave, how we ought to behave, or ought not to behave, as the case might be. Now, I'll get into the meat of the matter in terms of the election day offenses, or election offenses. And there are a number of them. Some come under some broader headings. I'll just go through the broader headings, and then we'll get back in terms of speaking specifically to some of the activities that fall under that. So for election day offenses, in a previous program you would have heard mention of the selling of intoxicating liquor on polling day. All liquor license premises, all the shops that sell or have a license to sell liquor in the particular constituencies should be closed on polling day. In the previous program again, they spoke to having cameras and other devices like cell phones within the booth, the voting booth. That is also prohibited. The use, well, having it or using it in the polling booth. So you also had the use of loud hailers, loudspeakers, the banners of any political party at the polling station. And then you have offenses for specific persons, or for persons on election day. You have offenses by employers. You have offenses by the election officials, the officers. Then you have bribery as it pertains to election. You have personation, and we'll get into what those mean and what that means. You have cheating and undue influence. Those are the major offenses that relates to our election process. Now, the National Assembly's Election Act, Chapter 2.01, Section 93, specifically speaks to influencing of any voter for any candidate. It reads, during the hours that the poll is open upon polling day, no person shall, upon any public road or in any public place within 100 yards or just about 300 feet of any building in which a polling station is situated, seek to influence any voter to vote for any candidate, or to ascertain for what candidate any voter intends to vote or has voted. So it is basically saying that when election day, in the heat of the election day, nobody is supposed to go and ask anybody who they voted for, try to find out who anybody has voted for or who they intend to vote for. That's a no-no on election day. First and foremost, the penalty for violating that might seem small. This act, it says $500, but imprisonment for 6 months, or both. That. Now we have election further in terms of the election offenses. The selling, we talked about the selling of intoxicating liquor on polling day. We spoke to the employees. Every employer is supposed to allow the employees reasonable time to go and vote and come back. And there should be no deduction of any salary or any penalties for that period of time that the person is allowed to go and vote. So if reasonable time, depending on where the person is voting, turns out to be 4 hours or half a day, the employer cannot determine that they will deduct that amount from the person's salary or wage because the person does not work. That is an offense. The penalty for that is $5,000 or imprisonment for 6 months. The offense is by election officers, and that has to do in terms of carrying out the role at the polling station. The presiding officer has some significant role to play at the polling station. In fact, the presiding officer, the person who more or less controls what goes on at the polling station. The police are there to provide support. If the presiding officer or poll clerk permits any person who they know or they have reasonable cause to believe that that person is not properly registered, but for some reason they allow that person to vote, the polling officer has committed an offense. And maybe it is because of the responsibility that the polling officer has, but the penalty for that is to commit an offense against the act, and on conviction, on indictment, that means that is what we would say a high court matter. No, we're talking indictment. That is for the polling clerk. Liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years. So you see where we're going from 6 months there for those offenses, and for the presiding officer it jumps to 2 years, because the responsibilities there are more significant. We touch on bribery, and we hear a lot of talk about who does what and who gives what when it's election season. So let me touch a couple of the things that speaks to bribery, what would be considered bribery on election day. It says, the following person shall be deemed to be guilty of bribery within the meaning of this act: every person who directly or indirectly, by himself or herself, or by any other person on his or her behalf, gives, lends, or agrees to give, lend, or offers, promises, or promises to procure, or to endeavor to procure any money or valuable consideration to or for any voter, or for any person on behalf of any voter, or to or for any person in order to induce any voter to vote or refrain from voting, or corruptly does any such act as aforesaid on account of any voter having voted or refrained from voting. He said, you're guilty of bribery. What it is saying, all that is said, is that if you promise anybody anything, or you promise to get anything for anybody, whether you're doing it for yourself, or you get somebody to do it, or you're doing it on behalf of somebody else, to influence how the person votes, or to influence them not voting, then it's considered that you have just indulged in bribery. He says, every voter who before or during any election, directly or indirectly, by himself or on behalf of any other person, on his or her behalf, receives, agrees, or contracts for any money, gift, loan, valuable consideration, it's an office, place or employment for him or herself or any other person for voting or agreeing to vote or refraining from voting. Again, you see that it is not necessarily putting money in somebody's hand. It could be a deal. Okay, I'm looking at the piece of the house or the piece of land. If you vote for my candidate, or if you vote for me, we can work with a deal and the land is yours. That is bribery. So it's not necessarily just giving in terms of what we might understand in most
So it's not always direct. It could be indirect
not
as well.
always direct.
Okay.
You do it yourself, somebody do it on your behalf. So it's directly or indirectly. It's still bribery. And we need to be mindful of that. Again, so there's a number of things that falls under bribery. However, it does say that, let's say on election day, one of the candidates or the manager, campaign manager or someone gives somebody a job to bring voters from place X to the polling station. A legitimate job, contracted, and they'll pay them for that service. Because that is a legitimate service, that would not be considered that it's bribery, as bribery. No, someone else may say it may or may not be. But in terms of what the law says, it says any contractual service like that, that is expected that during election moving voters from place X to B may be necessary, and it may be necessary to contract someone to do that job. So it's not wholesale in terms of saying any transaction that is done where someone benefits as a result of the candidate, that is just thrown it and considered that it is bribery. It has to be that the intent of that action is to prevent or influence in some way the voter to either vote or not vote for a particular candidate. I think this is a good time for us to just take a short break and then come back.
All right, and when we do so, you're going to take some calls when we get back?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the number to call when we return, of course, it's 465-2555. We'll be back right after these messages.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting the dial away and managed to bump into us. This is ZIZ Radio from Adam St. Kitts.
Don't freak out! We are about to blow your mind with up to 64% off MasterTech television sets, savings of over $1,300. Ridiculously low prices, television deals you can't afford to miss on 32, 50, 55-inch television sets and more. This television sale is one for the history books. Hurry! You can shop today with no cash at your nearest Quartz store or online at shopquartz.com. Don't miss this mind-blowing TV deals only at Quartz. Bringing value home. Special conditions apply.
Mommy, remember you told me if I pass all my exams, you would buy me a brand new laptop computer, a cell phone, and a PlayStation 4? Well, here are the results.
Wow, son, you did great. But where can I find all these stuff at affordable prices?
Smart Electronics, Mommy. They have stuff for the entire family. They have washing machines, cell phones, tablets, refrigerators, TVs, blenders, irons, microwave ovens, Bluetooth speakers, and much, much more. And they are located at Kozante opposite the food court.
Wow, but son, where did you get all these information?
My friend told me, and he also told me if you buy them somewhere else, they won't last.
Is that so?
Yes, Mommy, so I don't want you to buy them anywhere else but Smart Electronics.
Okay, son, get dressed. We're going down to Smart Electronics.
No need to go to St. Martin anymore. We have everything available right here in St. Kitts. And remember, we have only one store in St. Kitts, and we are located at Port Zante, opposite the food court. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life.
Okay, welcome back. Do you have any calls?
Yes, we do. Let's take our first call for this morning. You're live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, GQ.
Good morning, Jamdon.
And good morning, the first come officer.
Good morning, sir.
Hear his voice. Youngster, you're in the force more than 20 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. It's one thing, man, here you address. And it's been played in this country since 2000. where MPs who hold the prime ministership been going around polling stations and influencing voters to vote for a political party. And and police have to, you hear what you're saying on the radio? We want to hear it on the ear, just like the political party them announcing the activities. Come on, the commissioner got to be voiced. The high command got to be voiced. People out there just waiting, you know. Some of them out there feel like they could get away with what they get away in 1992, you know. Police, Ayo, be alert. That's all I want from Ayo. That's all I want for Ayo. The commissioner got to step up to the plate. People can talk, but do you walk? Do you walk? You have an act. You all walk by the election act. Walk by it. We need order in the country. Nobody bigger than the law. We cannot let MPs feel they could go around and do what they like. Polling, they're going by polling stations and telling people going to vote and then a little deal. It's wrong. So, good shot. And ask your superior to keep that running and the media them till the election finish. Because I smell problem. And I know they're waiting for Pop. But I walk like 1993, you know. I watch some of them hit Mr. Weird. Hit Mr. Weird. And up to when it happened and we confront one of them in the court of conscience, he said he not send them, he was just there watching. And he never expect I don't roll it back on him in the focus. So, I control the law. Don't make the organization look stupid. We never had that before. Out of Russia. We seen some vagabond fellow come into it. We getting these kind of things, you know. Have a good day. Thank you.
All right, Jamdo.
Thank you, sir. Thank the caller for his contribution. And as always, the police will always endeavor to uphold the law and to use the law to the best of our ability for the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis.
All right, we don't have any calls at the moment.
Okay, then I'll just continue. What I'll touch next is treating, and it is just as it sounds. You know, when we used to go to school, we'd have Independence Street. So it's more or less the same thing. If you more or less give anybody food, let me read it. Every person who cooperates or by himself or by any other person, either before or during or after an election, directly or indirectly, hear that again, gives or pays wholly or in part any expenses or gives providing any food, drink, entertainment or provision for any person for the purpose of corruptly influencing that person or any other person to vote or refrain from voting in an election. Let me back up. Who pays wholly or in part any expenses or gives or by providing any food, drink, entertainment or provision for any person for the purpose of corruptly influencing that person to vote or refrain from voting. And if you listen to that, you would want to say that that is commonplace in St. Kitts and Nevis. But the law is the law. What we need to endeavor to do is to abide by the law and present our best selves during the election.
We have another caller.
Okay.
Good morning, you're live.
Good morning, GQ, and good morning to the officer who is outlining the rules and regulation for this upcoming election, August the 5th. I would like to make my injection speaking to the people, Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, people, your vote should come from your heart. Your vote should not be given because of a bribery or a gift. Your vote is something that will haunt you for 5 years and make the whole country look good. Please, people, do not vote because this is a name or this is a person of interest. Vote from your heart. Vote for the interests of all. Vote one for all for one, all for everyone. we us, and not just one, make the country haunting, clouds that hanging over, be disappear, be vanish, and never again. Vote with your conscience. Thank you, boyfriend GQ.
The caller for his injection, his contribution. It is always welcome.
All right, let's take another call. Good morning, you're live.
Good morning, GQ.
Hey, good morning, Politics.
And good morning to the inspector. The inspector?
Not officially, not yet. But thank you, sir.
Okay.
I take that as prophecy.
All right, okay. Now, my few words this morning. We know we in a heat election. And you know that the three main political parties in the federation right now, the three main think it.
Yes, sir.
The main constituency office, Close and 4th Street, one up there by Victoria Road when you're going by Emery, and one there by upper side the latter place there, and one also by Cindy. And it look like people got a concern about it because people is talking about when the night of the election calling out, and people there like troubling one another and all these things. And you know, maybe who party win then feel please who party win something might work out and all kind of thing. So I just calling on you all, the police, you all keep intact, because we know that in election mode some people will do and how people will do things because the party win and those things. And sometimes that people say, oh, you cheat, this street, and that street, and that street. And I would like to see, and the poll in there, the day going out to the poll, that the people go respectfully, make the X, because Superintendent Henry come on and they read out something and I think was the police in video last week talking about the colors going to the poll, and I am agree with him. Now, if everybody now put on the red and put on the yellow, go vote. You vote your secret ballot. Nobody's supposed to know who you vote for. So I agree with it that you go to the poll and put on a plain shirt or something, and you go in the election line and you line up to vote. You know, because sometimes these things cause problem because who you vote for and all these things. Anyway, I'll continue to listen up here, and I will like the police them to be intact and do the good job and election there to keep peace in the country. God bless you all.
Alright. Thank you, sir, for your contribution.
We have another call, or you want to respond to him? Oh, we have another 10 minutes left. Good morning.
Good morning, GQ.
Hey, morning, culture.
And Commissioner of Police there, Mr. Francis. I just called to say we have enough police in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to be around this polling station on the day of election, because it doesn't matter what law and rules and regulation they put in place, somebody will find a way to beat the system. Because I could tell you this, 2015 election day, I have seen people who are not in the line voting walking alongside the line and putting something in people's hand, whether it was stone, cup shell or what. So therefore, somebody will find a way to break the system. So I'm calling on Mr. Commissioner of Police, the upper one, not you, not GQ, to please put as many police as possible out there to enforce the law. And anybody they catch breaking the law, they don't want no fears. They know what to do with them. The law rules, not people. So that is my call on the Commissioner of Police. Don't have no police on vacation at that time. Bring them out and let everybody walk. Thank you, GQ. And we boss. This is police without pay. Jam down, come back. Have a good day.
Thank you for your contribution, sir.
Yeah. All right, we don't have any calls at the moment.
Okay, let me respond to the last caller. I agree with what he said in terms of the police, and we have a job to do, and we will do the job. But I want to go back to what I said in the beginning. We have a collective responsibility as citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis to police ourselves, to behave ourselves in a manner that honors St. Kitts and Nevis. So, as passionate as we might be about our political parties or candidates, we know the rules. When we go out to exercise that right to elect a government, let us as individuals govern ourselves as honorable citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and honor. Let us pay tribute to our national anthem when we go out and polling there and honor St. Kitts and Nevis with the way we behave and polling there. Let us set the best example, be the model in the Caribbean and the wider world in terms of how we behave on election day, despite how passionate we are about elections.
All right, we have another call. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, GQ.
Hey, morning, Dumpling.
Love you. Good morning, officer.
Good morning, good morning.
I love how you start your show this morning. You understand? I used to break the law with election, but right now I'm getting old. So I have to respect myself and respect my police officer because I love my police officer from day one.
And we love you too.
I had my name ASP from Hanley. Anyhow, you are doing a good job, and I like how you start and do it by the polling station. Thank you. Love the police.
And the police love you. Thank you for your contribution.
All right, we're going to take one more call before we wrap up the program this morning.
Okay.
But we don't have that call at the moment.
Okay. So let me just touch on one more thing. And it is termed undue influence. And this has to do with...
Can I interrupt you? Can you make that your final point after this call?
Is.
All right. Good morning, you're live.
Yeah, GQ.
Yes.
One more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Officer, across the board.
Yes, sir.
It might be on the books. But I think the commissioner should go and talk to the electoral commission and they eliminate party colors going to the political polls. Because I've done hearing shushu and the ear. Everywhere we blow, everywhere we this, everywhere, and crowd up the line. Those is influence to the ballot. Please, Mr. Commissioner, we don't want to know here, you know. We see what some man tried to do in 1993. Please, this thing is in your hand, Commissioner of Police. The law is in your hand. The outlook of the election is in your hand. After fixing the politician won and the electoral commission, please, we need order on the ground. And we got to get it, you know, because all who feel they could do like what they do in 1993 ain't gonna work here, you know. Ain't gonna work here. Have a good day. This is Jam Dong talking. I born here.
All right, Jam Dong.
Yeah,
that's going to be your final call for this morning.
Okay. Let me just make the final point in terms of what I was talking about in undue influence, and then we can wrap. And undue influence just speaks basically to people using force or threats to influence persons' vote, whether for or against a particular candidate. And the theme the entire morning has been that is not what we want. And I'll just go straight into the wrap and go back to where I started again this morning to reinforce, to reiterate that let us and policing on the polling day, as opposed to the police having to police you, police with the police. Let us police together. You police yourself. Behave yourself in a manner that is that gives honor to St. Kitts and Nevis and our political machinery. It is your right to vote for who you want to, but you must do so in a manner that complies with the rules and regulations of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, so that you give honor, so that the national anthem is not just a song, so that our motto, country about self, is not just a slogan, that we present our best selves during this election and on polling day, so that when the wider world is looking, they don't see the police trying to police a people who are disrespecting their symbols, but they see a people who are law-abiding, who respect each other, and almost make the police irrelevant during a particular time, because all we're doing is observing and participating in the process. Let us go out and do that. Let us start today, presenting our best selves during the rest of the election and the campaign season. And if it's okay with you, Juku, could we close out the national anthem again so that we could hear it?
Yes, we
and
can.
Thank you for joining us and policing with you. And we look forward to your contributions when we return again. Thanks again for joining us, and we thank you for your contributions.
And thank you for being here, and we'll continue our conversation next week.
All right, thank you.
Oh, land of beauty, a country where peace abounds, thy children stand free on the strength of will and love. With God in all the struggle, St. Kitts and Nevis be a nation bound together with a common destiny. As stalwarts we stand for justice and liberty, with wisdom and truth we will serve and honor thee. No sword, nothing can conquer, for God will show defend. His blessings shall forever to posterity extend.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting that dial away and managed to bump into us. This is